What is good, rookies, and welcome to our round 16-17 team update. We're going to be joining the two videos during the week together as we're pretty much wrapping up our trading season for Supercoach. We're pretty much at final teams with some injury trades left over, so nothing too much to discuss or at least dedicate a complete video to. So we're just going to move everything into one moving forward and then just have maybe some spontaneous streams during the week, but of course after dark on Saturday night. So that's not going anywhere. We'll be here for a long time. If you haven't checked out what After Dark is, make sure you go check out some previous live streams to view the chaos. But we're going to jump into a horrible round 16, which absolutely killed us. We scored a 17-23, jumped back down to pretty much where we started at the bye rounds. So still somehow in at the top 5%, pretty much the last spot we want to be at. So we really need to bounce back. It's just unfortunate. Players out, Whitfield, all our main people such as Whitfield and Dunkley and Holmes and Smith on a bye, and we just didn't have the coverage. We didn't have enough going with our primos. They all kind of shit the bed. So we don't like that in a bye round because we could have made some good ground here, but alas, we did not. So let's have a look at our team. Then we're going to look at some injuries, look at final trade options, and touch on some game day squad stuff towards the end of the video, as always. So we had a VC of Richards and Dacos. Now we didn't have Goulden in the team. I've already done my trades. So just to let you know, we'll undo these for the moment. But this is what we had for our team. So we had Richards VC, went horribly wrong because he got popped the tag of all people. But we had a backup in Dacos who did enough to get a nice, safe score. So that was perfect. Our backline practically weren't there. Dale 99, who ended up having Campbell sit on him for the second half. Robertson Mills, absolutely horrid. Can't believe our best score from the defensive line came from McCarthy. What a reliable rookie he's turned into. Again, our midfield, everything just missed. The only two people worth noting are literally McKercher and Dacos. Everyone else just did not pull their weight. Those were on the bye, and those that weren't, like Sheasel got the half forward role again after saying that roles weren't going to change. Chera just Carlin just couldn't pull it together, so that was shocking. Sherry, again, I didn't expect a massive score. A 111 gone about where we expected, and TDK just doesn't. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe he's gassed. I don't know if he's got the tank for the whole season. Is the contract talks affecting him potentially? There's a whole lot of things going on. But overall, our best performing line was our forward line, believe it or not. We had 96, a 99, 96, a 104, and a 73. Crazy that our forward line out of all was the best performing line. So not great, but again, nothing we can't try to capitalize on. So that's how we went. Let me know how you guys went during the last bye round. Absolutely ridiculous. We also didn't do too great in our game day squad team as well, but we did enough to still be reasonable in our private league, which we'll get into soon. But again, moving into this week, it's most likely final trade week for most teams if you're not already there. Coming out of the bye rounds, looking to finish the team. What are your final moves? Can you do some luxury trades now if you've got the trade count? Can you just get cheap options? There are a lot of things to look at. But before we get into that, let's just have a quick run through the injury list. We're not going to go through anything too crazy outside of like Jude might be a cheap option we can look at if you're really desperate. Can be known to have a nice role. So he's got on test this week. A lot of things happening at Carlton. No surprise there. Goey's still TBC with an Achilles and a concussion thanks to Maynard. Good job. Nice teammate. We did have a few back coming from the test, but it just looks like it hasn't worked out. I don't know what the strength and conditioning team are doing over at the Dons, but it's not good. So we got Ridley and Reed as tests this week, so hopefully they can get up to get back into the team, which would hopefully see someone like a Merritt move back into that midfield role, hopefully. Redmond was going to try and be a test, but again, they've just pushed it back a week. Langford again, TBC. It's just not happening at Essendon, so it's a bit annoying, but it is what it is. Freo, Fife hurt himself before it even, as the sub before the game even started, so that's fun. The only one that's really probably annoying is that Whitfield did not pass or get up to play this week against West Coast. So it will be 2 weeks in total, the bye round and this week, just to make sure he's safe. Probably keeping him for the run home, which I think he's still a hold. There's no way at this point we're looking to really luxury trade someone like a Whitfield out of our team to want to get him back in. So I think you just have to hold him. If you've got a Clark for cover, you should be fine. Again, it's just 1 week, and your flex should hopefully, deal with that with any cover that you do have anyway. Outside of that, there's nothing too crazy to note for myself. Wardlaw is TBC. Again, he just can't get it together this season. Convin's a test, but we've got the likes of Parker, McDonald that are also a test as well. So we'll see if they get up to play this weekend against the Western Bulldogs, which should be a really good game. A few things happening over, again, at Richmond. Short is still nowhere to be seen. We've got Rampy used 1 to 2 weeks, so you could see someone like a Bice come back in and see what happens there. Patton's also a test, but unlikely to probably get a spot. But again, just Amati and Adams. I think the Swans are looking pretty decent. We can see Dwyer still 1 to 2. Oscar Allen this season, which is fine. So again, nothing too different in regards to the Weagles. But for Western Bulldogs, again, Trelaw just gone. But we got a few tests, 2 tests coming in, but nothing too crazy in regards to Supercoach irrelevancy. So what do we look like there with our trades? So the trade that I was kind of planning to do, hoping that Roberts would be, survivable, is move 2 rookies on to get a Toby Green in. But that would then push McCarthy onto the bench for looping. Now, given the role that McCarthy has, I'm probably more likely and more happy to leave him on field and just have him in at D6 or M8 and just leave it as is. So with that being said, I'm now probably pivoting to a Roberts and probably Johnson, with all the likely names coming back, such as Reed and Ridley, where I feel like Johnson may potentially lose his spot in the coming weeks once Redmond is ready to go. So I'm more than happy to jump off Johnson now. Still got plenty of cash to make, but at this point, you're looking just to finish your team. Now, we're only at 4. Now, we could save this and go to 3 and get whoever's in our range. Well, let me just fix this. So yeah, back into full fashion. We don't have too much money to work with if we just trade Roberts out in regards to what we can afford. Now, we can look elsewhere. We don't have to grab a backman, but Noble looks decent. Noble could be a decent own. Hasn't been blowing out the house by any means, but does have the ability to have some spike scores. Fraser suddenly looks good. Bont Jr., love that. But there's really no other options. Maybe Bergman could be an option that we could swing to. Again, I don't know if there's like a little bit of concern around the role though, but he does have a nice run coming up. And I did say this, he can either give you a 100s or a 60s. Again, just a bit of a poor game here, but otherwise really, really solid. One we could jump into on one trade and save the 3, for injuries or luxuries down the line. If we were to move someone back, there's really no one in the midfield that we're looking at. We're not looking at Cripper. We're not looking at Saligo. Again, Fraser's Freeman, but there's no one really else that we want to jump on outside of Bergman who can still do that. There's really no one else, but even in the forward line's a little bit more interesting because that's where we could pick up like a Jezza or a Thilthorpe if we wanted to, a Moore. We could think about the Horny Man, but again, I'm not convinced on the Horny Man either. It's just not where we want it to be. But there is that Toby Green pick where we could open up cash potentially for something else. If there was another cheap option we could look at, but again, we're just kind of using trades for the sake of trades. So I actually don't mind potentially grabbing Bergman as kind of a cover in one trade to leave us with 3. He's probably the most clear option I'd be looking at for the moment. But if I didn't do that and I wanted to use 2 to go down to 2 trades, then we can pretty much get anyone. So if I trade out Johnson, move Dayweeks into the midfield, absolutely dead bench. But then what we're going to do is we're going to cut May in the forward line as some potential cover. But that also means that we can kind of get whoever we want. 600k, who do we want? We could grab an Ash now, which actually doesn't sound like a bad idea. I don't think I really considered him, but he could be a very, very solid pick. So we could grab an Ash, especially with Whitfield out. Could grab a Naz or a Clark or a Rosie. Or we could go into the midfield, pick up a McCluggage, pick up a Hewitt, a Goulden. I really kind of want to go potty here. So I feel like the only way we're going to be able to make a dent into this race to top 1% or even top 2, 3% for the moment is we need pods. We could go safe and go like a Butters or a Bond. There are those options there. We could go very potty and grab Goulden, who's not even 1% owned at the moment. McCluggage is still under 10%, so I think that's probably more of a safer pod. Hewitt's still under 10%, so a nice safe pod. Green in itself is under 7%. Potty, I like it. Took under 5%. We could do these sort of things here. But, Heaney is also a decent pod. Do I like the run enough, though? Because if we look at the upcoming fixture, he might cop attention from Windy. Gordon's not going to cop the tag, but he might have Windy, then he might have Bedford, Durham maybe if he's back in. Might grab Atkins or any one of the defenders that can jump on him. But he's got he's got West Coast in his last game, so that's for consideration. But I really don't mind Goulden. I've been sitting on Goulden as a very potty pick, which could work out really, really well or work out really, really poorly. Because Goulden's not going to get tagged. Now, yes, he is a bit of a wing player, but he's a very influential wing player. They always look for him. So from a midfield perspective, I actually don't mind going Goulden or a Heaney or a McCluggage as a pod. If I had to pick a safer pod, it's definitely McCluggage. Again, the one thing that does concern me is just that shared midfield on where those points are going. Now, again, he's only had 2 games where he hasn't really got the points. So he'd definitely be there. Do we tag him with Dunkley and hope that they both outscore Neil? Or do we go like the Whitfield and Ash combination? There's no forwards I'm really looking at grabbing. I'm happy with my forward line. I'm not going there. So there's a few options. Now that I think about it, I actually don't mind grabbing Ash. Because he's been very, very, very solid. In regards to averages, he's currently, in regards to where's everything sitting, he's D1 at the moment. So why not grab D1? Makes sense, right? So I might actually bring in Ash. Just for this example, this could be any one of those people. I really like Ash as an option to finish the team. Without Whitfield in the team, even with him, with Whitfield, they both look like they can score pretty well. It's really, really good. It's a nice combo. And then we've got Green as well. Do we have too many, Giants players then? Probably, but, we hope that this sort of matchup, on the run home works in our favour. They do have Geelong next, so Green could be in trouble. So could Whitfield. But then they've got Essendon, and then they've got Sydney, which is fine. They got Bulldogs. These things are all kind of looking really good for Ash in particular. Then they got Suns, good for Ash. And then finals, they do have Saints. So Green might be in trouble, but Whitfield and Ash would have or should have a really good game. So I really don't mind any of those options. They're the ones I'm looking at. We have a look at what people are doing for this week for trades. We could look at the most traded out. Pedlar, of course. These kind of all become very fine. Cheesel's a luxury trade out. Just can't trust it. Huswaite, Sheldrick, Johnson, yep. Roberts, yep. Carroll. All these make sense. Traded in for all coaches. May, yep. Very good. The Viking, McCarthy, yep. Go there. 100% go there. Goulden, I do like a lot actually. So a lot of people jumping on Goulden too. Just some DPP flexibility on the dead bench. Bont to finish teams, Rosie, McRae, Darcy. I like it a lot. There's really no guidance here. Grab whoever you want to finish your team at this point. A lot of people are trading out of some primos. We've got Shearer being traded out of in the top 1%, a Sheasel, a Roberts, a Bolton, a Whitfield even. Interesting on Whitfield. Traded in for the top 1%. For replacements. Is that updated? I hope it's updated. There we go. Let's get this back. So we've got Goulden in the top 1%. We've got Bont, McRae, Butters, and Darcy. So all these are fine. And this is literally just how do you want to finish your team? Who have you got the cash for? Absolute value, I mean, you still can't go past Bont at 568. Butters is also around the mark at 590 if you've got the cash. Butters knows how to handle tags better than I say anyone at the moment. He just seems to be able to fight through them. Like, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But I don't, as I said, I'm probably going to go very potty with my final pick for my team. So we're going to go Ash, but for the sake of it, we're going to throw Gordon in because he's the one I've landed on the most out of all this, just for lols. Like, why not have fun? He's such an exciting player to watch too. So that's our trade-ins. We're not going to go into too much depth because it's just everyone picking their final trade-in for their primo. We're going to run McCarthy at D6 and treat that as kind of our flex. We can potentially rotate with Clark as well, but given McCarthy's role, we're not looping or doing any of that crazy stuff. But we will put the emergency on May. Johnson is gone 3 to 5 weeks. Catch you later. And we kind of forced a whole TDK. So we just hope Pitto's not named. Really annoying. Really, really annoying. Now jump into VC and Cs for this week. More interesting than that. First game, we've got a lot of options. From North, there's only one option. It's Sherry. Sherry against English. Grundy did a number on English as well. English also spent some time on the pine with a knee issue. So he also came up against Darcy. So I think Sherry should do well. If English is coming back, he still might not be 100%. So Sherry's a perfectly fine VC. From the Bulldogs, I genuinely believe, because it's at Marvel, you could pick any one of Bont, Richards, or Dale, and I think that will go perfectly fine. Even Darcy could go and kick a bag and go nuts as well. But I think you can expect probably a big game from those main three in Dale, Richards, and Bont. More Richards and Bont, I imagine, are probably going to have a bit of a explosive week. Maybe even more so Richards, just coming off the tag, just really wants to get more involved. So hoping for a spike score there. Am I tempted to VC Richards? I am. I very much am. I might do it again. I might trust the red man himself. You've also got Dacos against Carlton, so that could also be one. Does Stewart give him attention? Maybe. I don't know what Carlton's game plan is at this point. So Dacos is probably the only one. I think Hewitt's still a perfectly fine VC choice as well. He's been super consistent. So if you think he can have a spike score there, go for it. One that I'm personally looking at is Green against West Coast. Likewise, you could also look at Ash if we do get him in, or if you do have him. Ash or Green, I think, are great picks here against West Coast. A very, very good lock for VC on a Friday night. Not looking at anyone from West Coast. Sorry, McCarthy. Suns, I actually don't mind Rao. Rao's been very, very consistent. Called him as a little left field pick last week, and he did very well. So I still think Rao could do quite well here. So could Anderson. I'm not sure on what the tag situation is on if Durham's playing or back from suspension. I believe he is, but if Durham goes to anyone, it's probably going to be Ando. So I like the aspects of a Rao more than anyone. Even Noble could be a shout there. I don't trust any Dons players with the VC. The next game, which is where you might have your captaincy, I will probably have my captaincy on either Smith or Holmes for this. Holmes and Smith, the main two that you're going to look at for Geelong. The only two you're going to look at. And it's a coin flip. Smith's probably due, let's be honest. Holmes has pretty much stolen the show, but I think Smith is due. So I think Smith's perfectly fine. If you have Holmes and you want to be a little bit different, I think that's also fine. You're not looking at Richmond, let's be honest. Brisbane and Port. Rosie could be a decent one. Even Butters. Outside of that, maybe McLuggage. The suitcase could potentially go there, but who does Bergman go on? Really interesting to see how that one plays out. Probably too much going on in that game for me to even consider it. Likewise with Saints and Hawks. Sinclair hasn't been trustworthy. Naz has been very, very consistent. So if you wanted a really safe captaincy option, you could go there. Sydney against Freo. I think Goulden could be a safe captaincy if you wanted to go there. A Heaney. A Grundy against a dual ruck setup, I'm not too sure on. Like, we might see a down game finally from him if he's coming up against Darcy and Jackson. So we'll see what happens there. You got Rowbottom and Jordan, of course. Jordan went to the full tag. Does Jordan sit on Sarong or Brayshaw? I think Jackson's still perfectly fine as a backup captaincy if you wanted to go there. But I do like the idea of Dawson against Melbourne. I think that's a solid captaincy option. He should be quite consistent. They might throw a tag on him, but I think he's a bit too versatile and build-wise probably not suited. But we've seen Melbourne do it before, so they can do it again. But again, you're probably looking at either Thursday for your VC or Friday night as your VC, and you're probably chucking it on Holmes or Smith as your captain, let's be honest. These are your probably best runs of games. So they're my opinions. They're my VC and Cs. As I said, I'm most likely probably leaning towards Green and Smith as options, which is very, very nice. I don't... Richards could be it as well, but I think the matchup against West Coast is just too good to give away. Ho or Hugh or whatever his name is, Hoch from West Coast also looks like a very good cheap option. Speaking of West Coast players, if you wanted to pick him up. Been quite consistent since he's had that nice role. So he might spend time on Green, but I think Green's just going to go nuts. Likewise, if you're worried about potential attention for Green, I think Ash is going to absolutely dominate, especially with Whitfield out. So massive things to consider there. With that said, let me know what your final trade is for your Supercoach team for the season of 2025. Crazy that we're past all the buys now, and it's at that point in the season when we kind of sit on our hands and kind of see what happens, which is a bit relieving for some of us who keep stressing about our trades. Let me know what your trades are. Let me know who you're going to VC and see in this week, because I'm very keen to see how many people are jumping on Thursday or Friday for their VC. Of those that have Ash, if you're going trusting a Bond, very interested to see how you guys are reading this one. But with that said, we're going to jump into game day squad. So we're going to have a look at, more importantly, how we're building our team, because this week we have gotten heaps of players. So we went through some packs. We got some good pulls. We're just going to have a look at what we have been given at the moment. So for our most recent packs, we got a Platinum Nank. So I don't mind that at all. I believe we've got 2 gold Frasers now. So we're probably going to put one up on the trade block. We've got 2 Nashes in gold. So we're probably going to put one up on the trade block. We've got a Platinum Windhanger, which I don't mind. If he finds a different role elsewhere, he actually might be worthwhile. We got a Hugh Jackson in silver, which would have been massive last week. A gold Liddy, which we'll hold on to. But the main one that I love is we got a gold Ash in our packs. You know he's in the squad. We also have a gold Heaney, which I think can be very worthwhile depending on matchups. Do I think it's the week to have him as gold? Maybe not. We do have him in silver. I think I'd rather use my gold on Ash, given the matchup, which is what you can do with Game Day Squad, is you can really utilize your matchups. Again, because there's no trades, you just bring in the players. We've got Fraser in gold again. A Caddy in gold, which I think is awesome to hold on to from like that Dynasty format. Boyd as well could be a Dynasty hold, same with Jones. We've got a Bramble in a silver, Johnson, Keeler, Williams. We've got another Corey Warner. We've got Stengel, Andrew. Nothing too crazy else here. Platinum Fantasia of all people. Not great. We've got a McNeil, which could be one side bottom. Not bad at all. He's actually been having a really good game. A Gold Levi Ashcroft. Now, again, Dynasty format. Holding on to that one for sure. Hamish Davies, we'll hold on to it just for the sake of it. Tersman's not too bad. I don't mind this. It could hopefully turn into something. One we did get, though, is a Silver Dawson, which is massive. So he's in the squad. Who else did we get of recent? A Silver Berkman as well, which I do like. And we also traded a bronze card for this Atkins. So I think this one's a sneaky little pod because it's easy matchups. He should do very, very well. But as we would have seen if you looked at the team, we traded for a Silver Gordon. So shout out to my man for hooking me up with that. But we also pulled a Gold Richards last week. Now, it didn't work out in our favour because he had a poor game. But looking at his average, he's absolutely one to hold in gold in our team. We've got a few different ones, like Rochelle we had in gold. Didn't work out. I'm getting subbed out. Papley's on a trade block. We're trading out Lockie Neal gold, so if you do want him, go get him. I'm not asking for too much. We've got Silver Dacos as well last week, so he's in our squad. Just a few things going on. So I've pulled all of my players out of the other competitions just because I really want to focus on contender. So with that in mind, this is what I'm thinking about running for this week, and you'll find that it's pretty heavily determined on matchups. So with that said, we're going to run a Gold Richards, a Bronze Bolt, Bond. We've got a Silver Goulden, which could also be a Silver Heaney. I think Goulden is probably going to do better this game. We're going to rock our Silver Dawson and Dacos. I am on the hunt for a silver green, Tom Green instead of Callahan. But for now, Callahan's sitting there. I would move Tom Stewart to a bronze Tom Stewart, and then move up this to a silver, either Finn Callahan or Tom Green. Silver Max Holmes, gold Lockie Ash, silver Bailey Dale, and then just some not solid bronze options in our defensive line. Gonna rock Grundy and Sherry this week. Grundy might be chopped out for someone else, but matchup wise, I think Sherry's definitely a lock in. We did previously have a gold Luke Jackson, but given Luke Jackson is coming up, it's shared. He has been decent enough to at least keep him in the side in one way or form. But I just think from a gold average point of view, I think I get better utility out of Ash and Richards this week just because of the matchups. Otherwise, I'm putting in Myers and Smith from Geelong, given the matchup. Darcy and Kennedy, again, matchup. And Pickett's just been really, really solid. I do want to have a replacement for Daniel, but I don't really have anyone I trust. Yeah, we could throw in the Horny Man if he decides to find form again, but even a Hogan could kick a bag against West Coast. So maybe we actually run Hogan here instead of Daniel and just see how we go, because he could absolutely kick a bag. But that's our team rolling into round 17. I will say again, for those that have not joined Game Day Squad and you see this and you're like, I want to get involved, it's never too late to join. You can win like weekly prizes and even cash prizes if you're playing the upper competitions, such as, you know, Classic, Challenger, and Champion. All this sort of stuff, you can actually win prizes, like better prizes. But even playing just Contender, you can win, you know, your packs and get common packs and all that fun stuff. And as always, if you use the code Rookie as your promo code, you get 3 9-common player packs, which are awesome, which you can get platinums, golds, silvers, and bronze players. You also get a bunch of starter packs with all bronze players to beat out your team. But once you do that, make sure you do come down and join the Rookie Coach League. We've got 25 participants at the moment, and I'm currently 6th, so these guys are better than me. Basilicious, I'm looking at you. I'm going to try and hunt you down. There's about, you know, a little bit more than 500 points between us. Hoping my golds can help separate us, and I can recapture, you know, one of those top 3 spots. But from last round, still did okay, just not as good as I'd hoped. So good job for Sheezels for getting that done with a 25 and 42 points. Very, very nice. But yeah, I definitely recommend jumping on. It's never too late, especially with the Supercoach season slowing down now, and you want something to kind of keep ticking over that fantasy itch. I think Game Day Squad's a perfect fix for that. I really enjoy it. Just try it. Again, you don't have to continue with it, but hey, you might as well use the code. Helps me out, supports me in the channel, which is always appreciated, and it just makes me love you so much more. But try it, make a team, see how you go. If you don't enjoy it, don't enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, that's all good too. If you have feedback about it, reach out to me. Let me know how you found it. Really curious to see how you guys are enjoying it, or if there's improvements you guys notice. I say I want to work with the team at Game Day Squad to really help turn this into something special. If I can get on that journey and bring you guys along with me, something I'd love to do. So, 28 minutes in. I thought this video was going to be much longer. What else didn't we talk about? We talked about our review. We talked about our trades. We talked about our VC. We talked about Game Day Squad. Geez, what more is there to talk about other than we've made it this far? What more could happen? Hopefully the injuries don't hit us as hard as they have over the last few weeks. Fingers crossed. Biggest question to let me know is, how many trades do you have now? Once you finish your trades this week, are you down to 0? Are you living on a hope and a prayer that there's no injuries? Are you down to 1? Are you down to 2? As you said, as you can see here, we're down to 2. So a little bit risky, but I think 2's fine. Hopefully. We'll see what happens. But if you made it this far, make sure you like the video. Make sure you do subscribe. Make sure you come hang out on Saturdays for After Dark. We will be looking to get some special guests on for the rest of the season to help keep you guys entertained and to keep the fire alive. Again, it's a non-serious stream of Supercoach where we take the piss, have a laugh, have a vent, have a cry, have a therapy session about our poor team and some issued players that are just ruining our team. So make sure you guys come check that out. That said, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.